Congressman Brian Babin of the fine state of Texas has been pushing a bill to address these kind of concerns, but in a more intelligent way. I think, Congressman, what you want to do is refuse to accept the return of criminal aliens, which makes sense. Do we know whether that's baked into this plan of President Trump's?
I think there's going to be some real strong provisions in this that would keep this from happening. You know, as you just said, I've had a couple of bills out on refugees and on deporting criminal aliens, and here it's happening with executive orders from this president. And President Trump campaigned on this, Neil. And it's hard for me to understand the hysterics over this, because this is not a Muslim ban. It is temporary. We've got to look no further than the atrocities that have occurred in the United States and in Western Europe for people who have certainly exploited these visa and refugee programs. And I think it's a no-brainer. It's high time that we see somebody effective and with the leadership and aggressiveness to be able to do this.
You know, some Republicans have criticized the president for not properly vetting this. I understand the conundrum he was facing. If you over-vet stuff, I mean, it gets out to the very people you don't want to be apprised of what you're up to. But it seems like he can't win for trying.
It really does, and I don't think he can. He just can't get a fair shake from the mainstream media, if you will, or a large percentage of it. Let's put it that way, because it's. I think there's some folks out there that just don't want to know what the truth is. You know, these 7 countries, and now they're being called a Muslim ban. Well, that's less than 10% of the Muslim world. And as I said, it's a temporary deal. And, you know, we were told for the last year by in briefings as a congressman that the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security could not properly vet these people, and because there's just simply no centralized government, no statistics, no information from these countries, and so that's why they were on this list. And this list was actually chosen by the Obama administration.
You're right about that.
Not Trump.
Which raises a very good point. I'm glad you did, sir, that this idea that this was a Muslim ban, when we're talking about 7 of more than 46 countries that have majority Muslim populations, and many of those very hostile to us. So if you wanted to target all Muslim majority nations, you would ratchet that list up significantly. Yet that's how it's been characterized. And I was thinking to myself, this happens sometimes, Congressman. If this is what happens when you're just trying to get a handle on the problem and slow things down, and you're deemed a racist or worse, how will we ever deal with this?
We can't deal with this, Neil, until you know, we're hearing from a very vocal crowd here. The adversaries of Mr. Trump have always been adversaries, and they will continue to be. But I think the far larger majority of the American people are supportive of this. They want to be safe. Mr. Trump campaigned on this very issue. And I can tell you, as a Texas congressman, the folks down south there in East Texas where I serve, they want this type of thing. They want to be safe. They don't want to have to worry about terrorists coming in and exploiting our refugee and visa programs, so that absolutely these people can come in, especially if they're refugees. They're coming in at taxpayer expense and legally to set up bases of operation, to radicalize and do the atrocities that we've seen. And so I'm telling you, the American people are behind Mr. Trump here. The hysterics aside, the reality is it's high time that we saw something like this happen, and I'm elated that it is, and I'm fully supportive of Mr. Trump's executive orders.
You know, the irony is that this might not go remotely far enough. I mean, to your point, it affects about only 10% of the type of cases we've seen, and the vast majority are conducted, or the terror that we've seen on our soil, by American-born citizens or legal residents. So this doesn't even address that, and yet it got the rage it did.
Well, you're exactly right, because, you know, in my opinion, as we said earlier, I've had a couple of bills out that would do essentially the same thing and even more. I just hope that you know, if the hysterical side of our country, the Democrats, some of the media, if they can't see the efficiency and the usefulness and common sense of what he has done, and it may not even be enough, as you just said, and I couldn't agree more, have some problems ahead because the American people want to be safe. And I keep hearing this argument that, oh, well, these bans and these executive orders are going to gin up ISIS to be able to recruit more and cause more terrorism. Well, I think that's absolutely absurd because they already hate us. ISIS hates us, wants to kill Americans. And if we were not doing this, are they going to want to kill us even less? I think that's absurd. This is something that needs to be done. I believe President Trump has the idea of defeating ISIS completely, of protecting the homeland. This was his promise when he ran, and this is what he's doing, and he's moving at a speed that is just really unbelievable here for the last week. So I'm absolutely in favor and appreciate what he's done.
All right, and to your point, I mean, all I know is under Republican and Democratic administrations, like including the last one that couldn't have been friendlier or thrown more overtures to the Muslim community, the extremists within that community hate us no matter what.
That's right.
Congressman, thank you very much. Good catching up with you.
Thank you very much.